Hello everybody and welcome to this video. So in this one we're going to talk about the specificities of mixing trailer music vocals. Now when it comes to mixing vocals, it's a bit the same story everywhere. You need effects, you need compression, EQ, but we're going to focus on things to watch out for trailer music. Now this is a cover of Zombie by the Cranberries. It's a cover by Christopher Lukins, so more info in the description. Pretty cool, right? Now, there are a few things to remember if you want to get this sound. First of all, you need to have a vocal that's very compressed and very smashed. Because if your background track is already smashed and very dense with like 100 stems or whatever, everything is going to be kind of flat. You're not going to have a lot of wiggle room to have lots of dynamics in the vocals. Because the more dense a background track is, the more difficult it is for everything to be heard clearly. Meaning that if you want your vocal to be heard clearly in every word at all times, you need to have every word at the same level pretty much. So in this waveform, you can see that pretty much the whole thing is just at the same level. And actually it was sent to me like this, and it looks like 10 dB of compression at least, just visually. And I did more compression on top, as you will see shortly. So dense background track equals dense vocal, if you want things to feel powerful and on top at all times, if that makes sense. Now, if you want to go a bit further, you can actually compress each individual frequency a bit more, because the loudness might be completely flat. It doesn't actually tell you the difference, like the variations in tonal balance, right? Because loudness is just like one information. It doesn't tell you the level of the individual frequencies. And if you look here, like certain words are a lot more nasal than others. Like the B of zombie is not very nasal, but in other words are very nasal, and she pushes that 1K. So if you want the vocal to kind of have a more even tone and tonal balance, you know, all the time, you can compress individual frequencies, and that can help, you know, put it forward and put it on top even more than just normal compression. So I'm doing some of that here, and also some Gulfos, which does some of that as well.
Zombie, 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 hey, hey, what's in your head,
So you get the idea. Now, of course, you can go too far with this, but you know, it's quite nice to do that if you really want a super upfront, powerful sound. Now, let's look at the other stuff. Now, when you compress a lot, the downside is that you might have very loud S's, because by default in a performance, the S sounds are not very loud. But if you compress, of course, the loudest sound will be compressed, which is usually the vowels, so the A, I, U, E, O, right? But as a result, all the S and the sibilance will come up a lot, because that's kind of quiet by default. But know that you turn down the loud stuff by, I don't know, 15 dB. The S sounds will be equally as loud as the vowels. So if you don't want very, very loud S's, you can use a DSR, right?
What's in your head?
And that ensures that this sound is not too sibilant. So just a little thing to keep in mind when you use lots of compression. Now, for trailer music vocals, you're gonna wanna use more effects than what you usually do. And it's very much for the same reason, you know, if you have a very dense background track, you're going to want to use effects a lot more, and that's just normal. This might be way too much delay in solo. It might feel even undefined and somehow a bit muddy in solo. Just because this delay here, this ping pong delay is so loud, right? But the thing is, it doesn't feel that loud in context. It's because actually the other instruments are just masking this delay quite a lot more. So if you want to feel it, you have to turn it up. Same for reverb, you know? I could just disable this delay and this reverb, and it would be fine, but a little bit dry feeling. You know, like now with these effects turned on, it feels just right, at least to me. But it doesn't feel like a massive difference. However, in solo,
Zombie, hey, hey. Zombie, hey, hey.
in solo, it's a massive difference. You hear all the echoes left, right, very loud, and it's too much. But tweak in context, because frequency masking in the context of a really dense background track will do so much. It will affect the result so much. So it doesn't matter how loud the effects feel in solo. Same thing, if you want your vocal to be really wide, you can use a doubler or like room widener. It's a similar thing. It's going to give a lot of width to the sound.
Hey, what's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie,
You know, a bit of a chorusy sound. So again, all these effects, tweak in context, doesn't matter in solo. By the way, I did a bit of soothe as well for controlling the highs.
in your head.
Very similar to Golfos in that regard. But the idea was just to compress all these resonances. So that's about it really. I think the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway is to not underestimate the difference that the instrumental can actually have on the track itself. And the fact that in solo, only part of the story is told. You absolutely need to listen in context more than usual when you have a very dense track. And the denser your track is, the more true this is, right? So don't be afraid to squash quite a bit more than usual and do your effects in context. Guys, I hope that was useful and I will see you later. Cheers!